Dylan.
I'm Kiyan.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we're a crazy prospector in space.
That dramatic pause. What was that?
I was trying to imitate the opera music that played at the start of the
Oh,
serial
God.
in every episode.
Yeah, we should definitely sing opera. It's something that should happen on a regular basis. No, don't try and sing opera unless you can sing opera.
Yeah,
It doesn't work
trained
out
to.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opera singing is a lot harder than it looks, actually.
Well, it looks pretty hard, so I'm guessing it's way harder than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so this week we watched The Space Pirates. Not as bad as I thought it would be, but still really bad.
Not as good as you thought it would be either. Not as good as the title made it out to be. The
Yeah,
Space
but
Pirates.
I knew this was a pretty hated serial, and yeah, I was expecting it to be not that good, but it was worse than I thought it might be. Okay, yeah. So I wanted to mention, I don't know if you noticed, and I bet they weren't even going for this, but both the first and second Doctor's second to last serial has to do with pirates.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the smugglers. Yeah. Yeah, they probably didn't do that intentionally, but...
Yeah, it's done way better with the first Doctor.
Well, because it wasn't space pirates.
Hey, space pirates can be cool. They just didn't do it well here.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know, because it felt kind of like they were going for sort of a space western type of thing, but then they kind of just fell through with that and went for the usual, just regular space that they usually do. I don't know. Like, it felt just... I thought they were going for space western, and then it turned out to be just like straight up sci-fi, pretty much, essentially, except for Milo Clancy.
Milo
Who was
Clancy.
straight out of 1843.
So it begins with not the Doctor. Again.
For another 15 minutes, they really need to stop doing this, or at least set up the serial with interesting characters, because my major complaint that starts right at the beginning of this serial and just doesn't end is that this serial just isn't about the Doctor.
Yeah.
He and the companions are sort of just accessory to the main plot that's going on here.
Yeah, we had this discussion in the last version of episode 43 about whether or not you can do a serial without the Doctor being a major component. And I said there was like one episode in the reboot that did that pretty well, which I've actually now watched since we lost 43. And I'm going to say it was pretty good, but it felt a lot like Back to the Future. And yeah, it didn't live up to the hype.
Well, I feel like maybe... Yeah, you can do a good serial without the Doctor, like Mission to the Unknown, obviously, which was the...
Which wasn't the Doctor, yeah.
Yeah, they did that pretty well. That was a setup for, obviously, a super long serial that was definitely about the Doctor and the Daleks. That held my interest, but this just didn't. So, yeah, I feel like the Doctor not being there was a part of it. Because, I mean, when familiar characters are there, you're already interested in what they're going to be doing next. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the story they set up here and these characters just weren't all that entertaining.
Yeah.
So that's a part of it, too.
The situation the Doctor barely intervened on was just boring. And didn't really require his intervention. And if they had just left when they immediately showed up, like Jamie suggested, then, nothing would have happened. To them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, actually. Yeah. Yeah, they really weren't involved too much in this at all, actually. Especially for the first two episodes. For the first two episodes, it felt like there were two storylines going on here. One incredibly boring thing with the Doctor, and then another pretty boring story about pirates and a space federation.
The Space Federation. Anyway, so as we were saying, begins with not the
Kind of
Doctor.
like Firefly, but worse. When you think about it.
I've only seen 1.5 episodes of Firefly and then Serenity, so... And if you see Serenity, it makes watching the rest of Firefly irrelevant
Oh,
because
huh.
that's why you should watch Serenity after you watch
Yeah,
Firefly.
that's what they intended.
Yeah,
I don't know
well,
why you did it the other way around.
because that's what my history teacher did.
Oh,
That's how she showed it to us.
should watch Firefly. It's pretty good. But anyway,
Yeah, anyway, this isn't the Firefly cast.
if it was, we wouldn't even be this far.
Yeah, we wouldn't have survived 50 episodes.
It got canceled. But anyway, enough about that. Yeah, so it's basically about this Space Federation who's controlling things and some pirates who are doing dastardly things
They're
to
stealing
stuff.
Argonite,
Right.
blowing up beacons. Like, the whole first 5 minutes of the episode is just the space pirates blowing up a beacon.
Which doesn't really blow up because of other things.
Because of other sciencey things the Doctor throws in episode 2 to explain away the fact that they lost the TARDIS forever.
Yeah, so the pirates have blown up some sort of beacon, and Mission Control is freaking out.
I guess it's some sort of navigation beacon.
I don't know. I barely followed what was going on for the first 3 episodes, and then I just flat out didn't follow anything in 4, 5, and 6 because it got so incredibly boring.
Anyway, yeah, so they send out the ship V41.
L0 or LO or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
with General Hermack in command. They're sending out a general to investigate this beacon blowing up. That's some serious overkill. And, you know, another beacon gets blown up, and they're like, okay. And then we see the TARDIS materialize on another beacon nearby. And at the same time, General Hermack has sent some of his men over to defend the beacon and attempt to prevent it from being blown up.
But they fail.
Yeah, they find the Doctor and Jamie and Zoe, think they're pirates, and they're like, well, we're just going to seal you into this room. And then the beacon gets blown up. Then episode 1 ends.
Yeah. Way drawn out. Way drawn out.
And anyway, episode 2.
Oh, God. Yeah, episode 2 starts with the Doctor, Jamie, and Zoe losing oxygen and passing out.
And then we find out the Doctor doesn't need as much oxygen to survive as humans, I guess. Because he's a Time Lord.
Yeah. And then we come across this really eccentric character, Milo Clancy.
He was the best character in the serial, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, out of the serial specific characters, yeah, he was the only slightly entertaining one. And even then, why? Why? And, see, this is why I feel like they failed at the whole space western thing, because they just threw in this prospector type character in the middle of other stereotypical sci-fi characters. And I guess they thought combining the two would make it a space western, but it just felt out of place.
That's how you write a space western, right? You just throw in western tropes into...
Yeah, but it's not just throw in one Western-themed character in the middle of everything else. It's actually throw in Western-themed things all over the place.
Yeah, but they didn't do that, so...
Yeah. Basically, Milo Clancy is this...
Prospector.
Yeah, he's a prospector in space. I guess he worked the Argonite mines in their heyday. I presume that's what they were going for. That's kind of what they explained, I think.
Yeah.
So V41 contacts Milo Clancy because they want to know what he's doing in the region of space they're in, I guess. And he's like, well, I don't have to explain it to you or something like that. And Hermack starts to think that he's in on it with the pirates.
Genius.
And the Doctor thinks so too later.
Yeah, well, he does just shoot Jamie.
Yeah, he does.
Speaking of the Doctor, he's discovered that the beacon is held together by magnetic links, and he's going to try boost the magnetism of one of them to rejoin them. But it turns out the nearest link is of the same pole as the one his beacon is, so he accidentally sends his piece rocketing into space away from the TARDIS, which is on a different piece entirely.
Yeah.
Now they have a breakdown moment.
Zoe mentions that it might not work too, and he's like, "Well, we can't just do nothing." So then it fails. But yeah, they start dying pretty quickly.
Like the first of many times in the serial where they play up the drama of them dying.
Yeah, actually. This was actually kind of sad though, because I mean, there was that one shot or one scene where they were just kind of huddled on the floor together, like running out of oxygen. I'm like, wow, what a way to go.
Yeah, it was pretty depressing.
Yeah.
The doctor was like, I'm sorry, guys.
And Milo Clancy busted.
Milo Clancy busts through the door, and they jump up and like, whoa, who are you? And he just shoots Jamie, and then episode 2 ends. Well, I mean...
Yeah, with Zoe yelling, "You murderer!"
Not like he wasn't gonna die already, so...
It's true. Yeah, I'd be thanking Milo Clancy, put us out of our misery. No.
Wow, that is dark.
Oh yeah, I also wanted to mention that before any of this happened, Jamie and Zoe were passed out, like when they were first starting to wake up, and there are these oxygen tanks in the room, and the doctor picks one of them up and drags one of them over to Jamie or Zoe, one of the two, and then it cuts away and to something else, and later it cuts back, and Jamie and Zoe are awake, and while I was watching this, I was like, did he hit them over the head with that oxygen tank to wake them up?
No. No, he opened the tank so that oxygen would fill the room.
Hey, we don't know that.
Yeah, we do, because he opened the tank later. Again. He did it periodically throughout his quest to get his section.
Maybe he hit them over the head with it and then opened it. We don't know.
Hitting them over the head with it wouldn't wake them up. It would just knock them out more.
Still funny.
Or maybe kill them.
Yeah, that too. It was still funny. Anyway, yeah, Jamie's not actually dead, in case you didn't already guess.
Yeah, it turns out Clancy just had his on stun. He thought they were pirates, and that's why he shot him.
Yeah.
Pirate wearing a kilt, who would have thought? And so...
What happens
they're like,
next?
all right, well, you're our only way off this thing, Clancy, so I guess we're coming with you. And there was that funny scene when Clancy was first introduced where he was trying to eat his breakfast, I guess.
Yeah.
And he had his food and he connected his table to his chair. And then like every time he was about to start eating, something interrupted him, like the toast popping.
Yeah.
Or the V41 calling him on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because it was a funny scene. And I was like, wow.
Probably the most entertaining scene of this serial.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sad.
And the toast gets burned, which... tragic loss of life there. Toast. Number 1.
But yeah, so the doctor asks Milo Clancy to take them back to the TARDIS, and Milo Clancy's like, well, I'm not headed there. I'm headed to this other random planet to do things, so you're going there.
Yep. He's like, I'm trying to find the pirates, so you're coming with me. They're like, well, okay.
Yeah, he wants to find the pirates for some reason or the other that they didn't really go into detail with. Something like that. Or they're like messing with the Argonite mines and he's having none of that or something. Yeah, they go into like all this backstory detail. I don't know if they knew that this wasn't interesting at all, but there's a lot of backstory here that's discussed between various characters, and it just wasn't holding my attention. And I guess whoever was writing this thought it was really good, or
Robert Holmes, the guy who wrote the Crotons.
I guess I don't know.
And the guy who would go on to write some of the best serials of the classic series, apparently.
I mean, I don't know how this, like I've said with other bad serials, I don't know how this went through the chain of command, or however it works, to actually get made into a serial, because didn't someone along the line notice that this wasn't good?
Well, my best guess of how it goes is either the script editor contacts a writer they used on the show before, or a writer submits a proposal, And the script editor's like, this sounds good, make it. Or they're like, that sounds dumb, don't make it. Then they write it, and then they submit it to the script editor by a certain date. And then he takes it, reads over it, edits it, and then if he likes it, they'll put it on. If he doesn't, then they don't. Type thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. But still, I guess people just thought this was good.
Maybe they had nothing else.
I guess, yeah. Maybe they
Like
needed
everyone else ran out of
series.
time because the second Doctor regenerates next week, and they're like, shoot, don't have enough time to finish. And so they put on the Space Pirates.
It had potential, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
So yeah, they head over to whatever that planet was called. Turns out Hermac and his crew are they headed there as well?
Yeah, because I guess they decide to follow Clancy.
Oh.
They have Clancy tailed because they think Clancy's in on it.
Yeah.
So Clancy goes to that planet, and then they're like, maybe there's Argonite pirates on that planet. And then they also
Surprise there is.
discover that the whole beacon pieces are all gone. They're like, well, they must have gone somewhere, and they're like, well, based on these calculations, they went to XYZ planet that Milo went to.
Yeah.
I just summarized 3 episodes worth of the Space Federation shit.
Yeah. God, that drawn out dialogue. But yeah, the Doctor here starts thinking that Clancy is probably the leader of the pirates. Honestly, it was slightly entertaining wondering whether or not he was. I didn't know. They didn't make it blatantly obvious whether he was or wasn't. Until you find out what actually is happening.
Or until episode 4 where everything just goes wrong for Clancy, and then you feel bad. It's like everyone's against Clancy, but he's actually a pretty good guy. Even Madeline, for whom Clancy is her father's best friend, and she's just a total jerk to him. Like, why?
Oh, we completely forgot to mention Madeline.
Well, she only comes in episode 3 anyway, so.
Oh. Okay, yeah, the nearest inhabited world is Ta. I'm just reading right now. Huh.
Yeah, the planet names were completely lost on me.
Yeah, I didn't know where they were. Hermac visits Ta. Yeah, so.
Madeline runs this mining corporation that operates on the planet.
Yeah.
And so when they see Clancy go there, they're like, whoa. Sketch. Then they contact Madeline. She's like, well, I'll help you catch these pirates. There's a big twist coming later with Madeline. Actually, it's in episode 4, isn't it?
Yeah, believe so. I mean, you're going to have to carry most of this, because episode 4 is where I just started not caring.
Well, in episode 4, right, so, in episode 3, the Doctor, Jamie, and Zoe leave, Clancy's ship. The Liz
For
79.
some reason or the other.
Yeah, Clancy was like, don't leave now. Even I'm not going to be able to find you in those caverns down there. And they're like, well, we're just going to go anyway.
Like they usually do.
And they run into the pirates who chase them into this pit, and they fall, and episode 3 ends with them falling to their doom. But no, in episode 4 you find out they just land 10 feet below.
Yeah. Well, when I think it was Zoe who first ran into the pit, and then the Doctor and Jamie followed her, and they only jump into the pit after you hear her scream of oh no, I'm falling, or something like that. So I wondered, yeah, they're getting chased by pirates, and I guess they probably had nowhere else to go, so that's why they jumped in. But wasn't there at least one other alternative to jumping in the pit where one of your companions just jumped in and presumably fell to her death?
They're like, if she's dying, we're going with her.
Wow.
Geronimo!
But yeah, no, it's only a few feet deep, I guess.
And turns out Sorba is there, who you thought got killed in episode 1 when the pirates blew up the spaceship.
Yeah, he was one of Hermac's crew that he sent to go investigate what the pirates are doing on the beacon.
Yeah, turns out...
I'm pretty sure they showed him,
dying.
Well, yeah, they showed him, you thought he was dead, but then he did come back at the end of episode 1.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I
guess I wasn't paying attention.
Maybe I'm just making things up for myself. Who knows?
Anyway, you find him in episode 4 in the cave the Doctor, Jamie, and Zoe fell in.
Yeah. So they need to
Get
GTFO before the pirates kill them.
And so Yeah, the doctor realizes there's like an audio lock on the door, which if
Yeah.
you have the right tune will open, and then he just pulls out a bunch of tuning forks out of his pockets.
Yeah, and this would have been a great place to shoehorn in the recorder,
Yeah,
but they didn't.
actually,
But they didn't.
that recorder that actually hasn't shown up in like all of season 6.
Yeah, and like most of season 5, and like not that I can really remember except in the first serial of the Second Doctor, Power of the Daleks.
Yeah, it was also in The Enemy of the World,
Oh yeah,
where the doctor's like, "But you didn't let me bring it," and it was in some other things that I can't remember right now.
yeah. I thought it was gonna be. I remember back at the beginning of the Second Doctor's run, I was like, that recorder's gonna get really overused and really annoying. But
It ended
nope.
up just being underused,
Yep.
which we'll talk about next week when 2 weeks from now when the Doctor regenerates. We'll
Yeah.
talk about his run. But anyway, he just whips out tuning forks out of his pocket. Like, why? But anyway.
But he's trying to find the right note, I guess, or I don't know if that's the right term, but yeah, the right note. And then Jamie's like, "This is taking too long," so he grabs the tuning fork out of the doctor's hand, throws it at the wall. That produces the right note, and the thing opens.
Or it just coincidentally opens because Clancy opened it from the other side because Clancy's standing there.
Oh, is that what happened?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
think it was explained, like, whether it was the tuning fork or Clancy.
Yeah, but either way, he's there. He's like, "What are you guys doing?"
I thought I told you to stay in the spaceship. And they're like, well, we didn't. And he's like, well, no, Neely.
God, what even happens next?
They start to escape, obviously, and they run into some guards. And,
Jamie kills.
well, Clancy kills one first.
Yeah.
And then Jamie takes his gun. And then Jamie kills one
Yeah.
after that. And then the doctor rigs a trap out of the electrical circuits.
Right.
Which electrocutes another one, presumably killing them. It's not really explained.
We're counting the electrocuted guy as dead. And presumably there's some sort of... I guess this was due to the reconstruction team either just guessing or making things up or, I don't know, taking a shot in the dark here. Get it? Because... but yeah, we didn't know how many Jamie killed. Presumably it was just one, but the reconstruction text was worded in such a way that made me assume that it was more than one, but we don't know, so...
We're just gonna go with one. Seems safe. Not that this death count has been that accurate anyway. We
Yeah.
probably, like, veered off being accurate in,
Yeah.
like, episode 2.
We did screw up, like, literally the first death by not remembering
By not
it happened.
remembering the old woman, yeah.
But yeah, the Doctor and Jamie continue to increase their numbers, and they continue to escape.
And they escape right into Madeline's office and discover Madeline is in on the pirate operation with Cavan, the leader of the
Cavan's like
pirates
the bloodthirsty leader of the pirates who you see before this,
that we just haven't explained.
because he's not that interesting.
He does like go off the deep end in episode 6, like a lot of
wasn't-
enemies in this show.
Yeah. Zaroff. And
what's his name?
Salamander.
And what's his name from Power of the Daleks?
Yeah, whatever that guy's name was.
Professor.
But yeah, wow, Madeline. Wow.
Yeah, so Cavan orders the guards to take Dr. Jamie, Zoe, and Clancy to,
Be killed.
be killed. Or be
And-
thrown in prison.
No, it's be killed because Madeline's like, "I won't have bloodthirsty murder." And he's like, Cavan's like, "Ha ha."
Yeah, because he already killed Sorba when they came in, so...
Oh, yeah. You'll
Anyway,
forever be remembered. No.
no.
I'm not even going to pretend.
They get thrown into this room and they discover there's no lighting in there except for candles.
And Jamie makes this remark. Jamie says this. Candles in this day and age? I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Anyway, they somehow light them. I don't remember how. Probably the doctor just carries a lighter around with him or a box of matches.
Yeah.
And they discover a man in there who
Under the table.
Clancy recognizes. And turns out it's Madeline's dad. And it turns out Clancy and him, his name is Dom, were really close in the old days.
The good old mining days.
And they used to do these. They used to do the Kessel Run in less than 6 parsecs or whatever. And yeah,
And Cavan's basically holding Dom hostage to keep Madeline held under his thumb, essentially.
yeah, and
Madeline thinks he's dead.
yeah, but then she finds out he's not.
Yeah, once they escape using this really cartoon-esque escape plan where they lure the guards into the room and then they slip on marbles and wax.
Marbles the doctor was also just carrying in his pocket. And for a second he's like, where's my marbles? And I was like, haha, he lost his marbles. Ah, gosh.
When we have to resort to getting entertained by puns, you know the cereal's bad.
Anyway, they escape.
And then,
But while they were trapped, Cavan has come up with this plan to install a remote control unit into the Liz 79. And his plan is to launch the ship into space with Milo and the Dr. Jamie Zoe and Dom aboard, and then remove all the oxygen and kill them all off, and then for the Space Federation ship to find them, think that Milo's the head of the pirates, and then like invade the planet and find nothing there, because Cavan's going to escape in the time it takes for them to find the ship.
yeah, I barely got most of that while I was watching it. Or barely got any of it, I should say. But yeah.
So anyway, Milo's taking all of them to the ship, and Cavan eventually realizes that he doesn't need to capture them again just because they're going to the ship anyway. So it's like, well, he just saved us a bunch of time. They go to the ship, and Jamie and Zoe, for whatever reason, lag behind a bit.
Yeah, I don't think they ever explain that.
No. They don't.
So the doctor is like, well, we can't leave without them, and Clancy's like, yeah, I know, I'm not going to. But eventually they take so long that the doctor decides to go look for them. And that's when Cavan operates his remote control thingy-majig.
And then the reconstruction text really plays up the drama, because it's like, the doctor inhales the fumes and falls down, lifeless.
Episode 5 ends. Will the doctor live? Will he die? No, it's pretty obvious that he'll live. Because
Still got one serial to go.
Yeah. I mean, they need to stop putting in these dramatic cliffhangers where the doctor might die, because, like, it's not gonna happen.
Maybe back in the day,
Yeah, maybe...
they didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand not knowing, like, oh no, is he gonna die? Is he gonna regenerate? Back in the day. But, like, come on. People reconstructed this within the last 20 years. Like, anyone who's watching this knows he's not gonna die. Unless you're somehow watching Classic Who, knowing literally nothing, no spoilers, no information. I don't know how that would even be feasible, but it's the only way you'd get excited here.
It's why they shouldn't announce new Doctor actors before the Doctor regenerates. Because they do that in the reboot, and then you're like, well, I know he's not going to regenerate till the end of the season now.
Yeah.
And it's like, ah. So all that suspense is just gone, and you're like, darn.
Yeah, I know there are some regenerations later on that take place not at the end of a season.
Yeah.
I don't know which ones, but there are a few, I think.
Well, I mean, the 8th Doctor movie, it happens right at the beginning, obviously, and it's only there to tie it into the classic series.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that, actually. But
Yeah.
I know there's some where, like, Doctor regenerates almost all the way through the season, but then there's a few more serials left per season where it's the new Doctor.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's going to get interesting. Not here, though. Not next week and the week after. But yeah, this is where this serial fell to pieces.
It wasn't in pieces before?
It fell to even tinier pieces. Because, I don't know, it just stopped holding what little attention I was paying it before. We should probably go through our what makes a good serial thing for this. We should probably reference that more often, actually, but...
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, things happen. The
Somehow the Doctor later on has to defuse a bomb? I don't know how it came to that.
I do.
Okay.
So basically, Cavan is like, oh shoot. He's discovered there's a control unit, but he won't find it because it's too small. Because Clancy figures out there's a control unit in his ship.
Oh, right. There's that subplot with Cavan second in command hating.
Dervish.
Yeah, Dervish essentially hates Cavan, and Madeline tries to convince him to revolt with her.
Yeah, because Madeline didn't know her dad was about to be killed by being deprived of oxygen on the Liz 79.
Yeah.
Which begs the question, why was she just a total jerk to Milo Clancy when Milo was her dad's best friend, like I said earlier?
Maybe she hated him. I don't know.
Milo was there when she was like 6.
Maybe she hated him when she was 6. Who knows?
And they flew across the galaxy.
For all the backstory they go into in episodes 1, 2, and 3, they really don't explain too much later on. But yeah.
Milo had that touching moment with Dom where he's like, "You remember I flew you across the galaxy to see your daughter when she was 6? You remember, Dom?" And he's like, "Milo?"
But, yeah, so Madeline tries to convince Dervish to go against Cavan, but Dervish is like, no, we can't do that. We'll never succeed. And I don't know. And then Madeline calls him a coward, and I agree, but I don't know, I kind of relate to Dervish. I wouldn't go against the crazy murderer if I worked under him. Yeah.
Anyway, the Cavan's like, well, we'll just put some bombs on the nuclear reactor that powers this place, and it'll be like approximately equal to, I think he says 80 hydrogen bombs.
Yeah, something like that.
And
obviously he only says it so people in the 60s could relate to how big the explosion would be.
And they're like, so we'll just detonate that when we're far enough away, and it'll wipe all evidence of us being here. And it'll kill off the Federation. It's a win-win. And Madeline's like,
it's true.
Wow. But anyway, in space, Cavan's like, I'm going to blow this place up if you attack me. Whatever the general's name was, Hermac.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we better not attack. And then down on the surface, the doc's like, I think I can defuse the bomb. So he spends 6 minutes defusing the bomb.
Possibly in real time.
Yeah.
I mean, Madeline makes the comment that, oh, you only have 6 minutes to defuse the bomb. And at that moment, I moved my mouse to check the timestamp, and we were 18 minutes in, so it's about 6 minutes to the end of the episode.
Yeah. And then they just, at the end, they're like, turns out Madeline's going to go stand trial for working with the pirates.
Yeah, Doctor obviously defuses the bomb successfully. Or something like that.
No, he doesn't.
No,
he just
yeah, the
detonates
spaceship
it,
blows
wipes
up.
out the planet. Yeah,
does it actually?
No.
No, but it blows up.
Yeah,
something
they destroy
or the
the
other.
Cavan ship. They destroy Cavan ship because Cavan tries to detonate the bomb because they attack him with 150 seconds left. But the Doctor disabled the control unit, but not the timer on the bomb yet at that point.
Yeah, see, I wasn't even.
So it didn't work for Cavan. They just blew up Cavan's ship, and then. At the end, Madeline's going to go stand trial, and then Jamie's like, so what about the TARDIS, Doctor? And he's like, oh, it's floating around on one of those space station segments in space somewhere. Milo said he'll give us a ride, and then it ends.
Well, no, Jamie says, well, why don't we just walk or something like that?
He's like, oh boy, may as well just walk. The Doc's like, well, you might have to.
And then there's a jarring transition to the credits. It's like, usually the credits fade in, and it's not as jarring. Or the audio from the episode fades out, and like or there's not really much audio going on in the episode anyway, and the credits start. But here they're laughing, and then it just cuts off mid roarous laughter, and I don't know if roarous is a word, but
it is now.
It cuts off mid laughter into the credit theme.
Yeah,
it's pretty jarring.
And then it ends. They're not at the TARDIS. We have no guarantee they'll make it to the TARDIS. And presumably next week they'll just materialize somewhere without explaining it.
6 months of adventures with Milo Clancy.
Hey, Milo could be a pretty good companion, to be honest.
Yeah, he could be.
Maybe there is audio drama people. If you're not on that, get on it!
Oh, please. Of course Milo comes back in the audio dramas.
Well, you know what?
I'd bet.
Let's find
right,
out,
yeah.
shall we?
Yeah, what if the War Games takes place like right after this? What if it's a direct transition?
It could be.
Oh, did they change it back? Yeah, the wiki, if anyone didn't know, probably didn't actually, I guess only yesterday had this really crappy color scheme because it's back to normal now.
Yeah, see, it doesn't come back in the audio dramas.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
Untapped potential. Missing out.
Well, honestly, once this serial was over, and probably my favorite part of this entire serial was it being over because
Wow.
because now I know without a shadow of a doubt, like no more reconstructions ever. Like
Yeah.
I've watched all of them. There's nothing left to be reconstructed. There's no possible way I'm ever going to revisit that ever.
Well,
What?
there was that serial written by Douglas Adams called Shada.
Oh,
that
yeah.
They didn't
That we
finish.
said we were
They didn't
gonna
finish filming.
Yeah.
Because of the writer's strike.
Didn't they animate
Yeah,
that?
Ian Levine commissioned an animation that wasn't technically released to the public, but is acquirable.
Animations aren't that bad, let's be honest.
It's
Reconstructions.
color animation.
Yeah,
interlaced
see-
with regular footage because they filmed like half the serial.
Yeah, see, that's not bad. I like animations,
Yeah.
kind of. I mean, they're a nice change of pace, and it's interesting to have the
Throws
animations
his
talk
gun at
about.
the enemy.
As long as they don't have as many angle changes as Reign of Terror, I'm good with that. But now there's no more reconstructions. Thank you. It's over.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, honestly, I thought I might find the final reconstruction kind of sad. But I didn't. I was just glad they were over. I mean, you had to have felt the same way. At this point,
Yeah.
I was just like, I didn't want
My method for watching
reconstructions.
reconstructions devolved into me like having it open in a window on the side of me, like doing other things at the
Wow.
same time.
Wow.
Because like it's a reconstruction, so it's like it's a still image. So like I look at the image, and you know what the image is gonna be. So you just listen to the audio, and then like out of the corner of the eye, you can see the image change, or you can,
I guess.
or you see text start scrolling by. So you look over, you read the text, and then you go back to just listening.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Sometimes I just watched it in full screen because I didn't have anything else to do. So I was like, well, may as well just watch the whole thing in full screen.
So should we do a reconstruction retrospective, or can we just sum them all up by saying they were bad and I wouldn't blame anyone?
They weren't all bad.
They weren't good.
Well, I mean, with the exciting serials, it was easier to follow. Which,
Yeah, of
like,
course.
the reconstruction, they did the best with what they had.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's that link on the site to
Yeah.
The Lost Lords of Time, which is a super in-depth study on reconstructions.
Yeah.
So more than we could ever talk about it, but I mean, yeah, obviously the more interesting serials are going to be more interesting reconstruction or not. But yeah, reconstructions were just painful to get through at times.
Yeah.
And
I probably wouldn't blame anyone for not watching them.
yeah,
Which I think
definitely.
is what you were going to say.
Yeah.
Except for maybe like one or two that were like pretty good. Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't miss the Power of the Daleks because the second Doctor's first serial.
Yeah. And darn, what was I gonna say? Oh right, yeah. Like if you do want to get into the classic series, the first and second Doctor, there's like you can skip around. Essentially, I guess this goes into not just reconstruction territory, but a lot of serials are pretty self-contained.
Especially in season 6 for some reason.
Yeah, especially in season 6, and a lot of first Doctor serials are too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like there's much continuity season-wise or between two serials. There sometimes is, but if you want to pick and choose what serials you want to watch, or if you want to watch out of order, or just watch what you think is going to be interesting, then you can totally do that with these serials back with the first and second Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely feasible, and you won't really be missing out on much. I mean, you'll be missing out on what you don't watch, obviously, but if you didn't want to watch that in the first place, then you probably wouldn't care.
And just listen to our podcast episode on it and be like, haha, I'm glad I didn't watch that.
In fact, there are probably some serials you shouldn't watch, like this one.
What? Just watch episode 2, the only recovered episode of the serial.
Don't even watch that, honestly. Why would you just watch episode 2 of a bad serial?
To see how bad it is.
Because it's historically significant. Because that's why they saved it, apparently.
Yeah, it was the only one filmed on 35mm film. And then they just decided to discard the rest of the serial and save the one episode they filmed on 35mm film.
They probably didn't think people would be interested in watching these years later.
Well, they were wrong.
So wrong.
we've put ourselves through 51 episodes worth of this.
Yeah, I wonder how many episodes we've watched in total, actually. Unfortunately, the episode list on the wiki doesn't include episode numbers. I mean, I could add them all up, but...
Yeah, we could add them all up if we wanted to.
I'll do that, or we'll do that by next week, because I'm actually pretty interested to see how many we've watched so far. Or actually, I'll do it 2 weeks from now when we finish the second Doctor, because we compiled those stats for the first Doctor, so we can do some more for the second. Maybe not necessarily the same things we did for the first.
Yeah, so I think I already have how many episodes we watched for the first Doctor.
Yeah.
We'll probably just need to add second Doctor, which, we'll do in 2 weeks after the War Games.
Yeah, nearing the end of the run of the second Doctor.
Which I'm sad about, actually. I really enjoyed the second Doctor's run.
Yeah, I'm tempted to, during the past few weeks, I've been tempted to say some things about the second Doctor that I feel should probably be saved for his last serial.
His retrospective?
Yeah. So,
which is going to be, as long as the first Doctor
if not longer.
For half of it. Guess it's 10 episodes long compared to the first Doctor's 4-episode write-out serial.
But we are splitting it up.
It's true.
We're specifically splitting it up because of that. If you didn't know, we're splitting up the War Games because it's 10 episodes and that's too much to watch in a week. And also, like we were just saying, it's the second Doctor's regeneration, so there's a lot more to talk about.
And if Jamie and Zoe are written out during that serial, we'll have to do retrospectives for them too.
Yep.
And the season 6 retrospective, so that is going to be a jam-packed episode, and you don't want to miss it. TV announcer. Coming in 2 weeks. The Trust Your Doctor, second Doctor regeneration special.
Oh yeah, we said we were going to go through that what makes a good serial criteria for this. Yeah, so I mean, first on there we have the story must make sense. I guess it did, but there were some things that were they were iffy.
Villain should be memorable. Wow, I just noticed I think I spelled villain wrong.
Oh yeah.
Villain should be memorable.
I don't think I'm gonna remember Cavan 2 years from now. I thought we weren't trying not to mention him. Oh, there goes that. Yeah, characters can't be out of character.
Yeah, they won't.
I don't know.
Really?
I don't really know if this falls under any of these criteria. Obviously, yeah, reconstructions aren't usually enjoyable. Yeah, obviously.
Bad readouts, not relevant.
Yeah.
No character should be left out of the action.
Especially not the 3 main characters on the show.
Hey, unless you write a pretty good version of that, like they did in the reboot, with Blink.
Well, in the reboot, it's almost a different story because...
production quality is way higher and you can do a lot more interesting things.
And it's also a single episode.
Yeah.
As opposed to this, where it was 6 episodes of the Doctor, Jamie, and Zoe pretty much taking a backseat to everyone else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe we should think of different criteria or a different way to judge this, because I don't know, this doesn't really fall under a lot of these, and it's kind of hard to chalk it up to any of the 7 things we have on the list. And I think we just made this based on that one serial we watched, which was I don't know when we decided to put this up, but
probably around the Fury on the deep time.
It was before that.
Was it before that?
It was definitely before that. I don't really remember when it was. I want to say almost it was around the Daleks Master Plan era, sometime around then, but I honestly don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I think it was definitely after the Daleks Master Plan, though. We definitely put it up during the second Doctor's era.
Huh. But yeah, I think maybe we should think of different criteria or more criteria, or
we
think of something else.
We put it up the week Ben and Polly left.
Oh, so
we have episode when we recorded episode 37, we put it up.
So what was that? The Faceless Ones?
Yeah,
my favorite serial.
It was after that where we kidnapped the Doctor. Yeah,
we're reading off our really crappy episode list thing that we have going, but yeah, I think we should amend this somehow.
Or maybe it was
exactly
Power
sure
of the
how.
Daleks. Just talk about serial is on here. And then talk about Daleks.
Really? Talk about serial and talk about Daleks in a Dalek serial. Kind of want to go back and slap
talk about
past
CGI.
Me. Oh, so that was...
Talk about season 4. Must have been Evil of the Daleks.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was when we had the CGI
Why is talk
Jamie
about
and
Ben
Kimmel.
and Polly on there? Why would we talk about Ben and Polly?
Because we thought they might come back, remember?
Right. And we didn't forget to do the retrospective for them. We just left it for a week.
Yeah. Or so we say. But anyway.
Wow, thank you for undermining everything we've tried for the past, 13 weeks.
What, it's just pretend like we're actually competent?
Yes.
Oh, there goes that.
Yeah, let's be honest. We've never sold the show as us being competently talking about Doctor Who. Just us attempting to be competent.
Yeah, I think we've actually sold this as us not being competent at times. But anyway,
hey,
that's not the point here.
This isn't a serious podcast, let's be honest. It never was. I mean, we try and make serious points when there's write-outs, but this has never been a serious show.
This is true. But yeah, I think we should somehow amend this what makes a good serial thing. I'm not even sure how, but I just feel like that should be something that happens. Maybe it won't because I'm not being very clear on this.
Well, I mean, we did mention when we put it up that the what makes a good serial can evolve and change over time.
Yeah.
As the production values of the show change, or
and the show itself changes.
Yeah, if they take different directions with the show, then it can change.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll think of things that can be done with this in the coming weeks.
I mean, there's no real way you can say, this is, definitely a good serial and this is definitely a bad serial, since a lot of it is kind of objective. If you liked the serial, then you're obviously going to think it's better than it was. And if you didn't, then...
I mean, of course, obviously, it's all opinion-based. Someone's favorite serial could be Fury from the Deep. Someone could be really into Massacre or the Space Pirates. But there's a general consensus for most serials and just most media in general, whether it's good or bad, obviously.
I mean, I think it's even possible if you really like a serial to admit that it's a bad serial. If you like a really bad movie, you can say yeah, it's a bad movie, but I really enjoy it type thing. So, I mean, that's possible too.
Yeah. Or I mean, something can go into the realm where it's so cheesy or so campy that you like it, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that about wraps it up for this week for the Space Pirates.
Just kind of a boring serial. I'm hoping Robert Holmes is going to get better, but...
Well, apparently he does.
Apparently he does, yeah. And he writes a lot of serials. I looked up his page. He wrote a lot. He writes the Third Doctor's first serial, so we will see him in 3 weeks again. Spearhead from space.
Well, it's not like the Crotons was that bad.
No, yeah, it wasn't. But this was the weakest serial of Season 6. By far. And you should email us about that, or anything else you have on your mind, at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Still no emails. Inbox is still empty since... 2 months now, I think. But that's okay. Because we make up other things to talk about. Check out the website at decorativevegetable.com. Like we mentioned, our What Makes a Good Serial list is up there. So if you're curious what we're talking about, you can find it on the website. Also, a lot of other things on the website, like the link Kiyan was talking about to that PDF about reconstructions. So if you want to see that, that's also on the website. Check us out on YouTube at Trust Your Doctor, and check us out on iTunes at Trust Your Doctor if you're listening on the website or listening on YouTube, and leave us a rating on iTunes because we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Check out Facebook too. This is interesting facts sometimes. And links to everything else, obviously. And next week we have the first part of the Second Doctor's final serial, The War Games. So until then, the end.